Welcome to the CSR Universe Leaders Talk segment. Today, we have the privilege of discussing the impactful initiatives of Flipkart Foundation. Joining us today is Ms. Puja Trisal. She's the director of Flipkart Foundation, and with over 22 years of experience in the development sector, Puja has made significant contributions across strategic planning, operational excellence, project management, and impact analysis. Her expertise spans various development themes, including education, livelihood, healthcare, and women empowerment. She has played a pivotal role in collaborating with renowned NGOs and CSR foundations, demonstrating her commitment to driving positive change. Her association with leading organizations has further enriched her understanding of social issues and effective strategies for creating sustainable impact. We extend a warm welcome to Ms. Puja Trisal. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ruchika. Pleasure being with you today.
Today, I'm also joined by my colleague, Dr. Shweta Singh. She's serving as the consulting editor of the CSR Universe. She will also be asking relevant questions as per the flow of our discussion. So, to begin, Pooja, I first of all want to know what are the key social initiatives, themes, and issues that Flipkart Foundation mainly focuses on, and as part of its social responsibility, and what are the foundation's long-term goals for these issues?
Thank you, Ruchika. Like I said, pleasure connecting with you today. Shweta, again, looking forward to our conversation today. So, Ruchika and Shweta, Flipkart Foundation, we are the CSR arm for the Flipkart Group. And as you talked about, the foundation was formally launched in April 2022, 4th of April. So essentially, we are a little more than a year old today as we speak. Now, when we were trying to look at the various thematic areas where the foundation would be wanting to make that impact or positive change on the ground, we came up with 4 larger thematic issues. And these are not in any particular order. So we are talking about improved market access towards entrepreneurship. We say that today the culture is ripe in the country to talk about, entrepreneurship. And when from foundation's perspective, we talk about it, it is about the micro and nano entrepreneurs we are talking about. And the plan is to, create entrepreneurship hubs and also to sort of, work around dying and languishing arts in the country. The second pillar for us is skill development. And the skill development, of course, in India, we often talk about the demographic dividend. And we believe that there's a need to gainfully make sure that the youth are employed and they realize their true potential. From that school of thought primarily, we have been working around skill development of youth primarily coming from the marginalized communities, persons with disabilities, and also the transgender community. That's a larger target group for us. Then we talk about environmental responsibility, and there's no denying that today there is a massive need to have intense interventions around environmental issues per se. So as foundation, we have plans to work around regenerative environmental aspects of it and environmental awareness. So those are the larger things that we intend to do. The other theme for us is community development. As part of community development, the foundation wants to support a lot of need-based relevant projects on the ground. We would also be happy to support a lot of innovative work because the problems of India are such today that you need innovative, scalable solutions, and foundation would be happy to fund those kind of interventions per se. So that's a larger roadmap for us. So we're largely guided by the commitments that we have made as part of the Sustainable Development Goals, India as a country, and what Flipkart Foundation as a group can contribute towards that. The commitment that we have made is to say that by 2032, within 10 years of the foundation's launch, we should be impacting at least 20 million people in the country coming from marginalized backgrounds.
Just moving ahead, could you tell us about you said that it was the foundation was established 1 year ago. So what have been your key initiatives and achievements in this 1 year that you would like to share with us today?
Sure. So, we did start with a couple of micro interventions in the country, and essentially everything is centered around these 4 thematic areas that we talked about. So we had interventions with, say, women in UP and women in Haryana, wherein we did try to, help them with uh, income improvement activities primarily. So, we have been trying to do skilling of women. So say, for example, in Haryana, we worked with the women groups and helped them learn soap making as an activity, organic soap making. And the idea was that when they come together as SHGs and are able to sell it and improve their income per se. Similarly, in UP, we worked with an NGO partner who supports the organic agricultural practices and organic agriculture produce per se. And the idea was to bring the suppliers and the demand side stakeholders together, because there's always that break or gap there, and bring both of them together to sort of create a win-win, because the urban consumers need good quality organic supplies, and the farmers on the other side, they need that connect with the urban consumers per se, again from income driven perspective primarily. We did some community driven initiatives around providing hearing aids to children, and so those are a couple of micro interventions that we started with. Something around menstrual hygiene also we did work around. And with one NGO partner, we did work around, but supported them to make jute-based products. So essentially, as a foundation, we have really been trying to, one, work around making sure that there are gainful employment opportunities for the marginalized communities so that they get better income. And we also been promoting the environmental aspect of it. Very, very recently, some of our long-term interventions have also started. And also to tell you how the model works. So we work through the NGO partners on the ground, because these NGO partners, they have the understanding of the ground realities. So they bring in that ground input. And we work very, very closely with the NGOs to co-create the right kind of projects, which are scalable, replicable, and, sustainable as well. So very recently, a couple of big interventions that we have rolled out. So one is a project that we are doing with Train. Now, Train works with persons with disabilities, basically. So we are working with them, skilling the persons with disabilities. And this is a fully residential project. And then we are placing them in jobs as well. So taking care of it end to end, right from mobilization to placement. Similarly, we are working with Mitti Cafe, again an NGO partner who has a chain of cafes across the country, which is run by the persons with disabilities. So one, we have supported a cafe with them in Bangalore. And the objective is that, people who move into that cafe or go to that cafe, they get sensitized, because that cafe is end-to-end managed by persons with disabilities. So that in itself is a very beautiful example of empowerment. Similarly, with Mitti Cafe also, we are training over 250 persons with disabilities in employability skills. That's a very experiential training program. And the premise is that through that experiential training program, their skill sets are built and then they are gainfully placed in jobs. Then with Pratham, we are doing something in Mumbai, Maharashtra, where we are working with youth from urban slums primarily, and most of these happen to be women. And again, working around 21st century skills and digital learning skills primarily with the youth to help them be gainfully engaged. We are also doing a project around, it's a very interesting project wherein we are bringing in the elements of environmental responsibility by promoting green practices, but there's also an income generation aspect to the whole thing, wherein we work with the artisans in West Bengal. So it's a project called Greening the Enterprises, and that's the project where we are trying to sort of, improve the income levels of the artisans community. These are a couple of projects that we have been doing right now. Yeah.
That's a lot of work, given that it's the first year. Your NGO partners, I mean, you would be working with a number of NGO partners. You named Pratham and Mitti Cafe. So basically, what are your expectations when, say, an NGO comes to you with a proposal? So what are the key factors that help you decide that we are going to partner with this NGO? Because their work should align with your broader CSR goals. So what are the things that you consider, and what are your expectations from an NGO partner?
That's an interesting question, Shweta. Interestingly, couple of names, these are all doing some brilliant work in the country. So we have a very rigorous screening process to make sure, that we work with the best of the NGOs in the country. To be very honest, the proposals don't straight away come, because at foundation, we come from a philosophy that we would rather want to co-create. So there's a lot of work right from the conceptualization stage till the project is sort of rolled out, and beyond that through the entire project life cycle period, that we are very, very closely engaged with the NGO partners on the ground. Couple of factors that determine who do we partner with, or what is that one project we would be happy to align with. First and foremost is the cause. Is the cause relevant? That's very, very important for us. So that's the need or the cause that one is trying to address. That's the first point. Second is, we're looking at scalability. Like I talked in the beginning, we realize that the problems of India also call for solutions which can be scalable at a larger level. So we look at the proposals which have a element of scalability in them. Then again, at Flipkart Foundation, we have this philosophy, we say building India together. Now, as part of building India together, it is not about a corporate foundation and an NGO partner coming together. It is about making sure that all relevant stakeholders come together and make that difference. So we really look at or map the key stakeholders who are engaged, because if you have a very rigorous or a structured engagement with the key stakeholders, the chances of project being successful are very, very important. And then, of course, you also look at that once this partnership is forged, what would be that end outcome as partnership? What are we aiming to change? What is that impact we are trying to create? So with partners, we really put in a lot of energy to make sure that all of us are clear about what is that end goal that all of us are striving towards to make that happen. So broadly, those are a couple of things I would like to highlight here.
So Pooja,
Ruchika, yeah.
yeah.
Back.
So Pooja, I just wanted to know, since you were talking about collaboration and partnerships, your organization has been very active in terms of addressing the issues of environmental degradation, and in fact, you've partnered with Give India Foundation and many more. Especially the seed ball bombing project. So, what has been your focus when you look at environmental responsibility? And also, we've seen that you have been very active in terms of providing disaster relief. So if you can, share those initiatives, especially the flood relief initiatives, the environmental sustainability initiatives, especially in remote towns in Uttarakhand. So if you could, just elaborate on that, please.
Sure. So Ruchika, 2-3 things here. One, you talked about the collaboration part of it. So, like I said, our entire model is dependent on, working with the NGO partners. And like I was saying earlier, our philosophy is building India together. And if you see that word together, the very inherent thing in together is the partnerships, collaborations, and coalitions all coming together. I think what brings us all together is a common cause or purpose that we are all trying to address, that shared value that we are trying to accomplish. So we have been working with a lot of partners, and Give India is one of the many partners that we have been working with. Now, coming to the work that we have been doing around disaster relief, disaster is something that Flipkart has always been very, very active to support. In year 2022, there were two big disasters where Flipkart Foundation came forward to extend helping hand. One was the Assam disaster relief effort of ours, and second was the disaster that the flooding that happened in Bangalore per se. Now, honestly, when there's a disaster, I think the biggest need is to extend that helping hand, because people affected are in difficult, vulnerable, distressed kind of a situation, and you just want to extend that helping hand. So at Foundation, we did try to provide with a lot of ration kits, because first and foremost, whenever there is both Assam and Bangalore, these are flood relief, flood affected people primarily. And what happens is, whatever little materials these affected people have, they get all washed or spoiled for that matter. So the immediate support we provided was the ration kits to the families at that point of time to bring in some relief, because most of these come from unorganized sectors. Their daily wages get impacted during that point of time. We did also provide with the dignity kits and the toiletries kit, the hygiene kits primarily, to make sure there are sanitary pads, soaps, and all that stuff available with them.
Right.
We've also provided children with stationery kits. Very, very important, because this children's education gets impacted. They, for a certain period, they're not able to go back to school. So we do provide with the stationery kit to children, and in some cases also the shelter kits, because like the whole small that shelter of theirs may have been completely washed and they have to restart. I have been to a couple of these flood affected locations myself, and you realize that whatever little resources all these affected people have, they lose them all, honestly, and they have to start all over again. What surely stays as in, even in that difficult or distressed situation, is the fact they show a lot of resilience and they show a lot of positivity to restart their life all over again. And I think as a foundation, whatever little we have been able to do in that space, we've been really very happy to extend that helping hand out there. Now, coming to the Uttarakhand thing, now, climate change, disaster, all of these are so closely linked. And Uttarakhand has been in news for various, calamities and disaster relief affairs or disasters in last couple of years. And we also know that the forest cover has been depleting to a certain extent in the Uttarakhand region, particularly that Himalayan belt, which was always very, very green. So we started one intervention. This was with Give India Foundation and Sankalp Taru Foundation in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand. So this was essentially a project around seed bombing. So what we did basically was we released about 1.1 million seed balls in the hilly terrains of Chamoli district at that point of time. So how we did it essentially was, we first and foremost reached out to the community, and mostly these are women who came forward, and they helped us prepare those seed bombs in the first place. So that created livelihood opportunities for them. And it also sort of, created that larger understanding of the issue of environmental gaps happening right now. Then we also reached out to the school children. So the women and the school children helped us to sort of release those seed balls wherever possible. So, in the whole process, we have been able to create these green warriors or green champions who understand the issue in the big manner. Absolutely. And then what also we did, at Flipkart Foundation, we say that, technology got to be used to its advantage, and, it can help do bigger things. So from that perspective, we used drones as well. So there were those hard to reach terrains in Chamoli area where we couldn't go ourselves. So there we used the drone to sort of spread all these seed balls. We're hoping to have at least 3 to 4 lakh trees, and most of these are like native quality trees that would be coming to this intervention.
That's wonderful. So a lot of community integrated development going on there. So yes, you were saying something, Pooja.
No,
Yes.
absolutely. And thank you for picking it up, because it's very important. Like I said earlier, it's important to engage with key stakeholders. And the buy-in, that engagement from community is very, very important, and is one of the key things when we look at when we finalize any intervention, because it's meant for them. So it's very important that their engagement, ownership is also very, very evident and very, very active in itself.
Absolutely. But I'm sure you must have also faced some kind of challenges in terms of, raising awareness, or even, talking to them in their local language, is reaching out to them. So can you just, shed some light on the challenges and the solutions that were used to address those issues?
So that's a good point, actually, Ruchika. So what we principally always do is that we work with the local partners. And I think, that takes care of the language, that takes care of the context, as well as the needs of the community per se. Because so we make sure we always connect with the local ground level implementing partners for that. So that takes care of. Now, coming in terms of the buy-in, occasionally you may meet a couple of people who may not show the same kind of enthusiasm per se. But if you ask me largely, I think on the ground, whenever you go to the ground, you see it that there's a larger yearning to make a difference. And, everyone wanting to do their little bit to make this world or this country, their own little space better. So, and I think we look at that positive people or who are ready to join the movement of change per se, and looking forward to, having all those change makers or champions of change joining us in this whole mission. That's the way we primarily look at it. But yes, you have those smaller problems, but I think it's important also to look at the larger vision. And as long as one is able to accomplish it amidst all the problems, I think it's worth it all the time.
So your implementation partners, of course, play a key role over here. So when you look at partnering with them, what are the key metrics that you look into? What are your expectations from your NGO and implementation?
Ruchika, we just discussed this point actually.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Um,
Really
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you
There was
were, you actually went offline at that point.
okay. So Shweta,
Yeah, you can move on to the next question.
have you also discussed the Wings of Destiny, Punk, and Mitti Cafe, the community integrated development
Uh,
initiatives? Have we discussed that as well?
you can ask additional questions. Pooja had elaborated on some of the collaborations. You can ask specific questions if you have.
Okay.
I didn't know about, yeah, okay, you go ahead, please.
Yes. So again, we would want to. I mean, I don't know if I've missed this out, but have you spoken about Wings of Destiny, the Punk initiative, and the Train initiatives? I just wanted to highlight the community integrated initiatives, especially, and
We
how.
didn't do Wings of Destiny actually.
Okay, so there are many more where you have actually helped the local communities get livelihood, and integrated other programs with livelihood, education, women empowerment all together. If you can just highlight those.
Happy to do that, Ruchika. So, the Punk initiative, Wings of Destiny, and the project that we are doing with, say, Mitti Cafe, both of these projects are meant for persons with disabilities. That's
Okay.
the important thing. Now, if you see persons with disabilities, often, they don't get opportunities to get gainfully employed, and that's a big issue for them. So we
Hmm.
were very, very clear at Foundation that we would want to do our bit to see how do we engage with that community of persons with disabilities primarily, because not many opportunities go to them. Now, again, that's a very different target group. They come with different ranges of, like initial level of disability to severe level of disability, and you have to align the courses accordingly. So what
Hmm.
we've done, couple of larger things in that entire scheme of things. One is the trainings are experiential in nature, because the normal kind of training doesn't work for them. What really works for them better is where they are able to do it, practice it multiple times on their own, they get a better hold of what is expected out of them. Second is we have built in this whole
Hmm.
component of keeping the training residential in nature, because mobility could be an issue. Third is we look at every trainee as part of our programs and see what assistive support do they need, beyond the skilling. So for example, do they need a wheelchair, or do they need a pair of hearing aids and stuff like that, to make sure, whilst you have given them skills, you've also given them the other resources which help them to perform better.
Hmm.
So that's the way. Now, our whole skilling model is designed in such a manner that we want to make sure that we create placement opportunities for the youth. So, the partners have tie-ups with the various placement agencies. We do a lot of job fairs on the ground, and then the trainees do pick up the jobs that work for them. Now, very, very recently, the first batch has been placed of these trainees, because these are multi-batch trainings. And I can tell you it's extremely satisfying. We every salaries are around 12,000 rupees per month. Now, honestly, 12,000 rupees per month is a big amount for these families. Excuse me. Because what primarily happens is they don't have a fixed income. Now, in the family, there is one person who gets a paycheck, say between 1st to 5th of a month. There's a bank account. So that fixed income coming into the family, and if they were initially making 7,000, 8,000, where the family was having, say, 4 or 5 people. Now there
Mm.
is one more contributing member, and that too coming from a, the physically challenged family member, because often the society sort of says that they would not be ever able to support from a productive perspective.
Yeah.
I think
Mm.
that's been a big satisfaction for us at Foundation, that we have been able to create that change primarily. Yeah.
That's great, Pooja. So, Pooja, can you tell me the, number of beneficiaries that you've reached, or the kind of impact that you've made with all these initiatives? If you can just roughly give a figure, and also the geographies that you've reached.
So, see, this Persons with Disabilities program that we are doing, this is for about 300 plus youth right now, immediately. And like I said, the first batch has been placed, and first batch is approximately 150 people, roughly. And placements are still going on, but we have still almost done about 60% and above placements as of now, and the placements are still going on. That's important to remember. And 60% and above placement for persons with disabilities is a very high percentage of placement per se.
Hmm.
These projects are primarily in, we're doing it in West Bengal,
Mhm.
Karnataka, and Gurugram, Haryana primarily. These are the three locations, but Foundation has been largely active in beyond these three locations. We are also present in UP, we are present in Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. We are
Hmm.
also present in Maharashtra, West Bengal, I talked about. So essentially the 8 states where we are right now functioning. Yeah,
Okay.
in the
Okay.
first year. Yeah.
And any particular industries that you're looking at, in terms of employability for people with disabilities, like IT or yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, even IT for that matter, some of them have got placed there, but
Okay.
most of them get placed in, say, the retail sector, the hospitality sector, IT, e-commerce, so across various sectors. And again, as a principal, we give multiple options to the youth or the trainees for them to choose between the sectors, what appeals to them.
That's great. That's great. And coming back to helping women, get employability, and you have been helping the local artisans and trying to bring back uh, local at the global level. So, what have been your efforts in that regard? Can you share some initiatives that you're currently working on and the impact also?
So, thanks for that question. So, 2, 3 important things. I think gender lensing, we really want to look at every project from that perspective. And we try to make sure that, our projects have a good number of women who get positively impacted. Now, we're doing this project in Birbhum, West Bengal. This is in partnership with ICA, where we are working with 2 enterprises, and nearly about 1,200 plus people will get benefited through this whole project. Now, this is basically a women artisan-led project primarily, and 2 enterprises. One, specializes in kantha stitching, the very famous West Bengal stitching. The
Yes.
other one specializes in the banana fiber handicrafts per se.
Ah,
Now, those are environmental friendly. Now, we're doing work at multiple levels, and a lot of our pillars come together under this project. So, on the one hand, we are wanting that both these enterprises use a lot of green practices. That's very, very important from an environmental responsibility perspective. The second is we are also wanting that the minute you start using the green practices, in addition, we are also providing them with inputs like, say, for example, design elements. It's very important that, whatever products are being made, they are aligned to the current design realities or needs coming from the consumers. So you want to do that kind of an alignment. Then we
mm,
also do input capacity building around digital literacy, financial literacy, and we're also trying to help them with branding, packaging, marketing, because marketing is one area where, a lot of these artisan groups which work in remote areas of the country, they are not able to establish that
right,
connect. And
right.
unless and until you have access to wider markets, creating that sustainable model of income or enterprise becomes a very, very difficult thing. I think with this project, we're trying to address a lot of these problems together. The premise is that once we use the green technologies and the various other interventions that I talked about, and when we reach the consumers, there should be an increase in the income levels of the artisans, which
Mm,
would then translate into, better income levels for them, better lifestyle for them at that level, and a sense of confidence that comes with this whole process. So that's the larger premise of the project in West Bengal.
Okay, Pooja, I just wanted to know that since Flipkart is an e-commerce platform, are you also providing them any kind of market linkages and exposure through your e-commerce platform?
So, as a foundation, we are supposed to be sort of working on the capacity building of different groups. Here, this is a women artisans group per se. We build the capacity. And the women groups or the artisans is, in this case, they're flexible to join the Flipkart portal, and we have given that opportunity to them that if you want to join the portal, please feel free to join, and we would be happy to provide all the support, because the larger premise is to provide them access to wider markets. However, again, because our objectives are very different for foundation, so we are not saying go to Flipkart portal only. We're even okay they go to any other portal. The objective is higher. So from that perspective, we say go to all the portals you want to go to, but we would be happy to build your capacities, your confidence in the first place to reach out to different portals, different platforms, and showcase your products there. That's the premise.
So, Pooja, can you share a case study or some success stories here in terms of supporting the artisans?
So the Artisan project is a very recent project for us, Ruchika. We just started it about 2 months ago from that perspective. So give us some more time to come back on that particular thing. But if I have to share a case study with you, I would just pick up a case study which just came to us 2, 3 days ago. This is of a person with disability. And that person has, this is like, you also check who got the highest salary, who got the lowest salary. This person got about 21,000 rupees of salary, and then you realize that how much of a difference a course can make, because now you set this person on a lifetime of empowerment. Now, you build the capacity, the confidence, you bring in that dignity and dignity of self or self-confidence. I think this project has really done good, and we had parents talking to the NGO partner to say how there's a paradigm shift. So this family was initially making about 7,000-8,000, family of about 5 people. Now imagine one person bringing every month an income of about 21,000. 21 is on a higher side, but these are stories. But even like I said, 12,000, when that money goes consistently to a family every month, is a big transformative change. So at foundation, we really want to make that empowerment, and we really want to see that transformational change that stays with the beneficiaries or the people whom we touch forever. That is the kind of change we have been able to create with whatever work we have done so far. And like I say, we've just started. There's a long way to go for us. These are the initial days of the little successes here and there that we are seeing.
But you're doing commendable work, all across industries, and the themes that you picked up are very, very relevant. So I just wanted to know that the impact that you make, how do you actually monitor and measure the impact of your projects?
So at a couple of levels. First and foremost is, even at the time of when you're deciding or designing the project design or project proposal per se, it's very important that you have visibility to the end goal. So we really look at the outputs, outcomes, and what would be that change this project would accomplish. That's one part of it. Then once the project is rolled out, then we do a regular check-ins with the partners. We do a lot of field visits. And also, you got to have a certain amount of flexibility. So the check-ins with the partners help us to sort of, see what's working, what's not working, and if we need to make some mid-course changes and have that flexibility therein. Third is we ourselves go for a lot of field visits to see what's happening on the ground and have connect conversations with different stakeholders to get the pulse of the project and the change it is making on the ground. So largely that's the template. And of course, you'll have your dashboards in place. And again, like I said, most of these projects have recently started, but in long term, we would also have evaluations coming in wherein, we will also check before the project and after the project, how the project has positively impacted. So primarily working on all those aspects.
That's great. So, can you share your future plans, any more interventions that you're looking at, the roadmap for your future?
So, like I said, we've just started. So in immediate future, we should have some 3, 4 very important projects getting launched in the next few months from now. There's a project that we intend to start in UP, wherein we work with MSMEs, micro and nano entrepreneurs primarily.
Okay.
So that's going to be very, very exciting. Then we are starting a project around environmental responsibility with students or children of government schools primarily. And we would be talking about various environmental awareness aspects to create those champions of change. Then we have a project wherein we are working with adolescent girls and providing them with sanitary napkins. These are recyclable cloth pads per se, but we're also doing menstrual health awareness or hygiene awareness sessions with these adolescent girls there. So that's going to be very, very exciting. And few more plans at different stages of discussion right now. See, at
Okay.
Foundation, we know that we have made a larger commitment of impacting 20 million people in next 10 years. So the goal is audacious in that sense. So we're just starting, but very, very energized, very, very optimistic, looking forward to making a difference to a lot of people in a positive manner.
That's great, Pooja. I wish the entire team of Flipkart Foundation all the very best for all your future endeavors. And you're doing brilliant work there. And we at the CSR Universe would be very, very delighted to highlight all those projects distinctly through our platform so that we can reach out to more of our followers. And we would want the other CSR industry stakeholders to take lessons from you, learnings from you. So thank you so much for all those insights and valuable inputs. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ruchika. Thank you for, spreading this message of a cause to wider audience. Pleasure connecting with you. Shweta, pleasure connecting with you as well. And I would, in fact, invite you, do join us one day and see the work on the ground yourself as well.
That will be great. Thank you.
Love to do that.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.